Every night, billions of birds go to sleep. They sleep on branches, on power lines, inside shrubs, high in trees swaying in the wind. And somehow, no matter how deeply they sleep, they almost never fall. Think about that for a moment. If a human fell asleep, sitting on a narrow branch 20 feet above the ground, gravity would take over almost immediately. The moment our muscles relaxed, we would lose our balance and fall, but birds do not. A chickadee can sleep through a freezing winter night on a branch thinner than your finger. A cardinal can remain perched for hours without moving. A robin can spend the entire night balanced high in a tree despite wind, rain, and darkness. How? What keeps them from tumbling to the ground while unconscious? The answer is one of the most elegant engineering solutions in all of nature. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a sleeping bird the same way again. Welcome back to Bird Theory. Subscribe before you leave, because today we're exploring one of the most fascinating secrets hidden inside a bird's body. Why birds don't fall out of trees while sleeping. How their feet work differently from almost every other animal. And why some birds can remain perched all night without using any energy at all. Stay until the end because the final adaptation we discuss allows certain birds to sleep in conditions that would seem impossible for most creatures. Let's start with the most common misconception. Most people assume birds stay on branches because they have exceptional balance. Now, birds do have excellent balance, but balance is not the main reason they stay perched through the night. The real answer is mechanical. In fact, a sleeping bird is not actively gripping the branch the way a human would grip a railing. That would require constant muscle effort, and constant muscle effort would be a terrible strategy during sleep. Instead, birds possess a specialized system inside their legs and feet, called a tendon locking mechanism. This mechanism is one of the most remarkable physical adaptations in the animal kingdom. Here's how it works. When a bird lands on a branch and bends its legs, tendons running through the legs automatically tighten. As those tendons tighten, the toes curl around the branch. The more the bird settles into its perched position, the more securely the foot locks. No conscious effort is required. No active squeezing is necessary. The bird's own body weight helps maintain the grip. In other words, the act of sitting down automatically secures the bird to the branch. Imagine a chair that automatically fastened your seatbelt every time you sat down. That's essentially what the bird's body does. Researchers studying avian anatomy have found that many perching birds can remain attached to branches even after death because the locking system remains engaged. That's how effective it is. The bird does not need to stay awake to hold on. The branch is effectively holding the bird as much as the bird is holding the branch. And this adaptation provides an enormous survival advantage. A sleeping bird can rest deeply without constantly worrying about falling. Energy is conserved, safety is improved, and the bird remains securely attached even during long nights. But staying attached to a branch is only part of the challenge, because sleeping high above the ground creates another problem entirely: predators. And the way birds deal with that problem is even more impressive. Being able to stay attached to a branch all night is useful, but it does not solve the biggest problem a sleeping bird faces. A sleeping bird is vulnerable, very vulnerable. During the day, a bird can rely on constant awareness. It watches for hawks, cats, snakes, owls, and countless other threats. It can fly away at the first sign of danger. At night, that becomes much harder. A bird that is fully unconscious would be easy prey. And yet billions of birds survived night after night in environments filled with predators. How? The answer is that many birds never become completely unaware of their surroundings. Researchers have discovered that numerous bird species use a remarkable form of sleep, known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. The name sounds complicated, but the idea is surprisingly simple. Half of the bird's brain sleeps, while the other half remains alert. One hemisphere rests, the other continues monitoring the environment. Then they switch. The sleeping side wakes up, the awake side rests. Throughout the night, the bird alternates between the two. This means many birds are never fully unconscious in the way humans are. In fact, some birds can literally sleep with one eye open. The open eye is connected to the active half of the brain, allowing the bird to continue watching for danger while still getting rest. Scientists first documented this behavior in dramatic detail among ducks and waterfowl. Birds positioned on the outer edges of a flock often kept the outward-facing eye open while sleeping. Birds in the safer center of the group closed both eyes more frequently. The vigilance was shared across the flock. Each bird contributed to collective safety. The same principle applies to many birds sleeping in trees. A cardinal tucked inside dense branches may appear completely asleep. A chickadee hidden in a cavity may seem motionless, but portions of their nervous system remain alert enough to detect sudden changes. A branch snapping, an owl landing nearby, the rustle of a climbing predator. The bird can react with astonishing speed. And where birds choose to sleep is equally important. Most species do not simply pick a random branch. They select roosting locations carefully: dense shrubs, evergreen trees, tree cavities, thick tangles of vegetation, places that make detection difficult. Researchers studying roosting behavior have found that birds often return to the same sleeping locations repeatedly. Once a site proves safe, it becomes valuable real estate. A reliable roost offers protection from predators, shelter from weather, and familiarity with escape routes. In many ways, a bird's nighttime location is just as important as its feeding territory, which means that every evening, birds perform a careful calculation. Where can I sleep safely? Where can I stay warm? Where can I react quickly if danger appears? The answer determines where they spend the night. And for some of the smallest birds on Earth, another challenge becomes even more important than predators: temperature. Because surviving a cold night can be just as difficult as avoiding a hungry owl. And the strategies birds use to make it until morning are nothing short of extraordinary. For many birds, the greatest threat during the night is not a predator, it is the cold. Small birds lose heat incredibly fast. A chickadee weighs only about as much as 2 pennies. A kinglet weighs even less. Creatures that tiny have a tremendous amount of surface area compared to their body mass, which means heat escapes quickly. And once the sun goes down, there is no opportunity to replace lost energy by feeding. The bird must survive until morning using only the resources it already has. That is why nighttime is often the most dangerous part of a bird's day. To make it through, birds rely on a collection of remarkable survival strategies. The first is insulation. When you see a bird looking puffed up on a cold evening, it is not simply relaxing. It is trapping air between its feathers. That layer of air acts like a natural blanket, reducing heat loss and helping the bird maintain its body temperature through the night. The second strategy is location. Birds do not choose roosting sites randomly. Dense evergreen trees can block wind. Tree cavities provide protection from weather. Thick shrubs create sheltered pockets of warmer air. Even a few degrees of additional warmth can make a critical difference. For some species, the strategy becomes even more extreme. Black-capped chickadees and several other small birds can deliberately lower their body temperature while sleeping. Researchers call this regulated hypothermia. Instead of maintaining their normal daytime temperature all night long, the birds allow their bodies to cool slightly. Their metabolism slows, their energy consumption decreases. The result is significant energy savings. Essentially, the bird temporarily enters a lower power operating mode to survive until sunrise. And then there is perhaps the most surprising strategy of all: sleeping together. Many birds that appear highly territorial during the day become far more social at night. Bluebirds, for example, have been documented crowding into nest boxes together during cold weather. Multiple birds share the same small space, benefiting from each other's body heat. The arrangement may look uncomfortable to human eyes. To the birds, it can mean survival. Every bit of shared warmth reduces the energy each individual must spend. When you combine all of these adaptations, the picture becomes extraordinary. A bird settles onto a branch. Its tendon-locking mechanism automatically secures its feet. Part of its brain remains alert for danger. Its feathers trap insulating air. Its roosting site shields it from wind and weather. Its metabolism adjusts to conserve energy. And all of this happens automatically. No conscious planning, no deliberate engineering. Just millions of years of evolution refining one of nature's most effective survival systems. So the next time you look at a tree after sunset, remember what is happening among those dark branches. The cardinal hidden deep inside the evergreen. The chickadee tucked into an old woodpecker cavity. The robin perched high above the ground. None of them are worrying about falling. Their bodies solved that problem long ago. Instead, they are doing something even more remarkable. Balancing safely between rest and survival. Suspend above the earth. Securely attached to a branch. Waiting for the first light of morning. And when dawn arrives, they will wake exactly where they fell asleep. Not because they held on all night, but because nature built them a system that never lets go. Tell me in the comments, what birds do you think are sleeping in your yard tonight? I read every comment, and I'll see you in the next one here on Bird Theory.